Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 4.
Good morning, Dr. Smith speaking. How can I help you?
Well, I've been getting headaches frequently, so I'd like to get some advice.
Okay. Firstly, how did you hear about us?
My friend Mrs. Harris told me that you did some good work for her a couple of years ago. Do you remember?
Oh yes, I remember Mrs. Harris. I appreciate her compliment. So, tell me about your headaches.
The headaches usually last about a week. Sometimes it is so severe that I can't continue my work. Could you tell me what is going wrong?
Sorry to hear that. We will have to look further into this. I want to know, did you have headaches before?
No, I didn't suffer headaches previously. I've just been having them recently. Perhaps for 3 months or so?
I see. Well, I suggest that you should have an optic examination first. Do you know where the local optic examination center is?
No, I haven't been there before. Would you please tell me how to get there?
Of course. From here, you go along Shore Lane. You will see some crossroads, but remember to take a turn on the third one. Then go straight down Bridge Street. Keep going and then turn left at the first traffic light. It is right there.
Got it.
Now, what I'll do is fill in a form with you to find out a little bit more about your medical history and so forth.
Okay, thank you.
So first of all, can I take your name?
It's Anu Bhatt.
Could you spell it, please?
Yes. ANUBHATT.
And where do you live?
Oh, I live in my parents' house on 21 Eagle Road. That's EAGLE Road, London.
Oh, I often go to London on weekends too. It's a lovely city. And what's the postcode there?
AL2 1DY.
Now, I need to know your family medical history. Have either of your parents had any medical problems?
Yes, my mother has shellfish allergies, while my dad doesn't. Oh, right. Both of my parents have had toothache for most of their lives.
Okay, thanks. There is one more thing I need to take care of. Have you had an allergic reaction to any medicines before?
No, that hasn't happened before.
Okay, I'll make a note of that. I'll write none here. I think we are finished here for now.
Thank you. See you later.
See you then.
That is the end of section 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 15.
As you will have noticed upon entering the main campus, the area is quite vast. I'd like to show you around today and get you familiar with the area. Right now, we are standing in the campus garden, which is the most conspicuous area in the whole campus. It is roughly in the centre of the campus and makes for a good reference point. To the northwest of the garden, we have what we refer to as the Student Service Unit. This is where you can find course information, lodge complaints about registration, receive grades and conduct other administrational tasks. You should become familiar with this place, as you will likely be visiting it a lot in the near future, by which I mean from tomorrow. To the southeast of the garden, near the south gate, we have quite a vibrant venue for both sports and concerts, and it provides over 5,000 seats. You can find a lot of posters on the billboard nearby advertising upcoming activities. We usually organise at least one big event each month and have a few regularly scheduled activities that are open to all students on weekends. Take the lane leading to the northeastern corner of the campus and you will find a new building at the end. It's where trained staff are ready to cater to your health needs and give advice for any health-related problems that you might have. Just to let you know, the first floor is for physical checkups, while the second floor is for consultations. If you're from abroad and need help, you'll need to go to the building directly adjacent to the campus garden. Go straight to the second floor, where we have staff there to assist you. By the way, that building is also where we hold most of our international conferences and seminars. It's a great place to listen to experts share their experience. I highly recommend it. For those who need to find a place to live on campus, you can go to the accommodation office. Please note that we have closed the old office, which is directly to the west of the campus garden, as it is too small. The larger building right next to the cafe is where the new one is located. I am aware that some students have yet to receive their room keys. This is probably because you have not provided us with your proof of payment and identity card yet. Please don't worry though. I can assure you that there are enough rooms for everybody.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 16 to 20. Now listen carefully and answer questions 16 to 20.
The students' dormitory is on the south side of the campus, and it is, of course, where you will be residing throughout your stay. Each room is equipped to accommodate 2 students. The kitchen space is shared, but you do have a shower for yourselves. After you move in, you will have to talk to the designated manager of your dormitory building before using any of the facilities in the basement, including washing machines and dryers. If you have signed up for our school meal program, please listen up. In order to prevent any mix-ups when distributing meals, most of our food containers will be marked with each student's name. If the labelling isn't done correctly on yours, please let us know in time. You should be aware that last semester we had some incidents involving theft in the dorms. As such, we've implemented some new policies this year to upgrade our security services. Every student will be provided with an access code, without which they cannot enter their rooms. Please don't share it with anyone. If you want to renew its validity, you'll need to check your portal page and find the button under the tab On Campus Dormitory. We hope that this new system should limit the number of thefts this year. Finally, I'd like to talk briefly about campus rules. It is expected that all gadgets and appliances are switched off after the lights are out, which happens at 11:30 p.m. Most students' bedtime is around 11 p.m, so please keep to this time and respect others' need for quiet. We take this quite seriously and are quite strict. Any gadgets that are seized for breaking this rule won't be returned until the end of the semester.
That is the end of Part 2. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers to Part 2. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 26. Hello, Natasha. Come on in. Sit down.
Thanks, Mr. White. Did you manage to look over the draft of my field trip report?
Yes, and I have a few observations and some things I would like to see revised.
I see. Feedback is always appreciated, positive or negative.
May I ask, what was your motivation in completing this report? If you want extra credit to go towards your final grade, I'm afraid it doesn't work like that.
Not at all. I wasn't sure which aspect of science I wanted to study and thought this might help me focus. After this field trip, I've realised that geology is a field I would love to be involved in, and I've signed up for a course next term. And actually, having worked on the draft, I've learned that I need practice at writing reports like these.
I can't argue with that. Geology is one of my favourite subjects too, but I don't advise using this report as a basis for any further assignments. The details you've included are informative, though your organisation is relatively poor.
I will take that down. How do you feel about the introduction?
It's not bad at all, but you need to follow it through in the main part of the essay. The school website has many essay templates you can use, including the ones for a scientific report, which is what you need here. I'd like you to download one and revise accordingly. Can you do that?
Yes, and I am thinking about adding more details to make the report more convincing. Do you have any advice?
Well, actually, I don't think it's necessary to do that. Your choice of survey site was an interesting one. Was there a reason you chose this particular site? We have a map in the lab which is marked with all the sites in the local area that are geologically and geographically noteworthy, but yours wasn't one of them.
Knowing they had been repeatedly studied by geography students, I wanted to try somewhere different. I believe every place is geologically unique, so I closed my eyes and stabbed the map, then looked for the nearest open site. Fortunately, it was easily accessible.
Interesting. What did you hope to gain from your field trip? Surprisingly, the grasses in the area you chose are quite dense, though the soil is somewhat sandy. Were you thinking of finding out any special properties in the soil that may cause this?
Not particularly. I'm very interested in the elements that make up different soil types, and the dunes have always captured my interest because of the sand content. As an added bonus, I was also able to try out a number of the soil testing techniques you've been coaching us in.
I noticed you've also incorporated some of your fellow students' data in your report.
Yes, in an effort to make my own findings more accurate, I thought it is wise to get a broader view by merging their data with mine.
Good idea. Your report is reasonably comprehensive. Incorporating others' findings like this also enables you to compare your methods with other people's.
Yes, I thought that would be beneficial.
I note that you've included quite a detailed map of the site. How did you go about drawing that? I'm assuming you took photographs and used a graphics program.
I took a satellite image with me to the viewing platform at the Dunes Visitor Centre. I can see the whole area from up there. Then I marked in the details I could see. Some of my classmates just copied the local map with tracing paper, but I didn't feel it was detailed enough.
Before you hear the rest of the discussion, you have some time to look at questions 27 to 30. Now listen carefully and answer questions 27 to 30. What equipment did you use to survey the site?
I predominantly used the soil pH test kit you recommended, but it's quite technical and I found it difficult to use. There were so many buttons and I didn't know which ones to click.
It is somewhat complex since it's quite professional, but a bit of training would help. Now, your data collection sheet has some issues.
I know it's a bit disorganised, isn't it? What should I do?
Begin with the main topic, then put all the variables that you need in separate columns and use a fresh line for each sample.
OK, I'll do that. I thought my literature review was good though, clear and comprehensive.
It didn't really give a full picture, and you neglected some parts which are important. I recommend you gather a greater selection of materials. There are some excellent books and papers I can recommend to you on the subject.
Oh, that would be very helpful. How do you feel about my notes based on conversations with local residents? You know, about their experience of growing different plants in similar soil types.
It's always a good idea to incorporate some real-world experiences in a report like yours.
I wasn't sure whether it's redundant, but I learned a lot.
It's an established research method.
It took a long time, though. Next time I should limit the number of questions I ask or get someone to help transcribe the recordings.
You'll be asking for a research assistant next.
Ielts Island, located in the southern coast of Iceland. The island was formed from below the sea surface due to eruptions of a volcano. The process was recorded in 1963. Fishing vessels' crew aborted a trawler sailing. The island sported a column of smoke rising from the sea surface. The ship's captain thought it might be a boat on fire and turned his vessel to investigate. What they found was an island being born. The eruption ultimately lasted 3.5 years, ending in June 1967. The birth of this new landform wasn't the end of Ielts' story. In the spring of 1965, only a few scientists are permitted to land on Ielts. The only way anyone else can see it closely is from a small plane. This allows natural ecological succession for this island to proceed without outside interference. The first higher plant was discovered at the shoreline. It's a flower called sea rocket. Fly arrived on Ielts soon after its formation and was first detected in 1964. They are carried to this island by winds and their own power. Scientists are also shocked that a large area was covered by white ground grass in 1974. Scientists took half of it for analysis and discovered 663 plant species. In the 1960s, regular bird observations were maintained on Ielts. These were directed primarily at staging migrants in spring and autumn. Their importance of carrying pioneering plant seeds to this island is a new investigation. A year after eruption started, the number of bacteria species increased rapidly to 35 until about 1970s, and then leveled off and has increased slowly since, with the number of species fluctuating around 40 to 50 species recorded on each sampling occasion in 1990s. The same survey was repeated the following year, now also including the registration of habitat choice and habitat abundance for each species. In 1971, 36 species were also found, of which 20 were new to the island, including the first liverwort species. For the first time, scientists found a green vegetation called Matinsa formed a thick carpet in the westernmost of the largest crater. You are never too old to learn, it is said, but you must admit that some kind of information sounds more like a joke, like the findings of fossil on Ielts. An island only 39 years old, the fossils were obtained as early as 5 years after eruption. Radio observations suggest that very energetic particles produced by the eruption is still active. The volcanic ash samples were collected from locations by scientists also indicate this island is still on the move of new formation. Ielts is situated in the region of extremes in winter weather and wave climate. The violent explosions caused by the meeting of lava and seawater meant that this island consisted of a loose pile of volcanic rock by storms during the winter. Wave data near Ielts have been recorded by the Maritime Administration since 1988. This island is unlikely to disappear entirely in the near future. Investigation assuming that the rate of erosion will be slow suggests that this island will last for at least many centuries. Human impact is a small hut which is used by researchers while staying on this island.